Picture this. You're hiking through the misty forests of Washington state, camera in hand, chasing the perfect shot of wildlife after a thunderstorm. The ancient cedars tower above you like natural skyscrapers, their branches heavy with raindrops that catch the filtered sunlight. You're focused on a rare bird through your telephoto lens when the ground beneath your feet suddenly gives way. But this isn't just any ordinary sinkhole. You're tumbling through what feels like liquid starlight, colors swirling around you like aurora borealis. The sensation lasts only seconds, but when you hit solid ground again, everything has changed. The air tastes different, thicker, more humid, filled with scents you've never encountered. The trees around you are massive beyond imagination, their trunks wider than city buses, reaching toward a sky that seems somehow more vivid, more alive. That's when you hear it, a sound that makes every hair on your body stand on end. It's not quite a roar, not quite a hiss, but something that speaks directly to the most primitive part of your brain, the part that remembers when humans were prey. You're no longer in Washington. You're no longer in your time. Welcome to the Cretaceous period, 65 million years ago, and you're about to discover which prehistoric predator would choose you as their next meal. But here's what's really fascinating, and this might just save your life in the next few minutes. Every predator, whether it lived yesterday or 65 million years ago, follows the same basic hunting principles. They're not mindless killing machines like you see in movies. They're calculated, intelligent, and surprisingly predictable once you understand their rules. Your heart hammers against your ribs as you slowly rise to your feet, brushing off prehistoric ferns that look like something from a botanical garden's fever dream. The forest around you pulses with life, but not the comfortable, familiar life of your modern world. This is life with teeth, with claws, with instincts honed by millions of years of survival. A twig snaps somewhere to your left, then another to your right. You're being watched, evaluated, sized up by creatures whose ancestors ruled this planet when your own species was nothing more than a distant evolutionary dream. But this is where it gets interesting. And I promise you, understanding this next part could mean the difference between becoming prehistoric lunch or finding your way home. Each predator has its own hunting style, its own preferences, its own way of deciding whether you're worth the effort. Moving as quietly as possible, you creep toward what looks like a game trail winding between the massive tree ferns. Your photographer's instincts, trained to notice the smallest details, are working overtime now. Every shadow could hide something with fangs. Every rustle of leaves might announce something with razor-sharp claws. The first sound you identify is rhythmic splashing coming from somewhere ahead, water hitting rocks, but with a strange, deliberate pattern. Against every survival instinct screaming at you to run, you find yourself drawn toward the sound. Sometimes curiosity really can kill the cat, but in this case, it might just save your life. You peer through the dense vegetation and freeze. At a crystal-clear stream that cuts through the forest like a liquid ribbon, something magnificent and terrifying is fishing. It's massive, nearly 40 feet long, with a crocodile-like snout filled with conical teeth designed for gripping slippery prey. Its powerful arms end in claws the size of kitchen knives, but it's using them with surprising delicacy to snatch fish from the rushing water. This is Baryonyx, the heavy claw, and you're watching something few humans have ever imagined. A dinosaur that preferred seafood to red meat, a predator that chose the path of least resistance. But here's the crucial detail that might just save your skin. Baryonyx was a specialist. It focused on fish, on aquatic prey, on targets that couldn't run away on land. You hold your breath, moving in slow motion as you back away from the stream. 1 step, 2 steps. Your foot comes down on what you think is solid ground, but it's actually a rotting log that crumbles under your weight with a sound like breaking thunder. The Baryonyx's head snaps up from the water, fish still wriggling in its jaws. Those intelligent eyes, more alert and cunning than any crocodile's, lock onto you. For a moment that stretches like eternity, predator and prey size each other up. But then, something amazing happens. Something that proves these creatures were far smarter than any movie ever gave them credit for. The Baryonyx looks at you, looks back at the abundant fish in the stream, and makes a calculated decision. You're too far from the water, too much effort to chase, too risky when there's easier prey literally jumping into its mouth. With what almost seems like a dismissive snort, it returns to its fishing. You've just survived your first encounter, but do not celebrate yet. Because the forest around you has fallen into a silence so complete it's almost deafening. Even the insects have stopped their chirping. In nature, there's only one thing that creates this kind of absolute quiet: the presence of an apex predator. That's when you hear them, the voices. They're not quite bird calls, not quite mammalian growls, but something in between that sends ice water through your veins. It's a conversation, a coordination, a pack discussing strategy in a language older than human civilization. You know what these are before you see them. Every paleontology documentary you've ever watched suddenly becomes terrifyingly relevant. Velociraptors, the most efficient pack hunters in prehistoric history, and they've caught your scent. But here's what most people don't understand about raptors, and this knowledge might be the only thing standing between you and becoming their afternoon snack. They weren't just fast, they were smart, scary smart. With brains proportionally larger than most modern birds of prey, they could solve problems, set traps, and coordinate attacks with military precision. The voices are getting closer, moving in a pattern that speaks of intelligence and planning. One to your left, drawing your attention. One circling behind, cutting off retreat. And somewhere in the canopy above, a third one positioning for an ambush that would make Navy SEALs proud. Your hands shake as you grip a fallen branch, a pathetic weapon against creatures that could disembowel a horse with a single kick. But it's all you have. The forest seems to hold its breath as shapes begin to materialize from the shadows. They are smaller than Hollywood taught you to expect, about the size of large dogs. But what they lack in size, they more than make up for in pure, focused lethality. Sickle-shaped claws curve from their feet like organic switchblades, and their eyes hold an intelligence that's almost human in its calculation. The lead raptor steps into view, head tilted as it studies you with the clinical interest of a scientist examining a specimen. Its feathers, yes, feathers, iridescent and beautiful and absolutely terrifying in this context, rustle as it shifts its weight, preparing to spring. But this is where understanding predator psychology becomes crucial, and I'm about to tell you something that could change everything. Raptors, for all their intelligence, had one significant weakness. They were ambush predators who preferred surprise attacks on distracted or isolated prey. Face them directly. Make yourself look bigger and more dangerous than you are, and sometimes, just sometimes, they might decide you're more trouble than you're worth. You raise the branch above your head, making yourself appear larger, and let out the loudest, most aggressive yell you can manage. Back off! The raptors pause, exchanging those strange vocalizations again. You can almost see the calculation happening behind their reptilian eyes. Is this strange, hairless creature worth the risk? Are there easier targets elsewhere in the forest? For a moment, it seems like your bluff might work. The lead raptor takes a step back, head still tilted in that unsettling, too intelligent way. But then the wind shifts, and that's when you smell it. A musk so powerful, so overwhelmingly predatory, that it makes the raptors seem like house cats by comparison. The pack around you suddenly forgets all about their potential meal, their heads snapping toward the forest behind you with expressions that, on any other creature, you might call fear. Something is coming, something big enough to make velociraptors nervous, something whose footsteps you can now feel through the soles of your boots, a rhythmic trembling that speaks of massive weight moving with purpose through the forest. The raptors vanish into the underbrush like smoke, their intelligence telling them that discretion is the better part of valor when certain other predators are hunting. But you? You don't have the luxury of disappearing. You turn slowly, already knowing that whatever you're about to face will make everything else in this prehistoric nightmare seem like a warm-up act. Trees bend and crack as something pushes through the forest with the unstoppable force of a living bulldozer. Leaves rain down like confetti as branches snap under weight that defies imagination. And then, stepping into the clearing like something from humanity's deepest nightmares, you see it. Allosaurus, 30 feet of perfectly evolved killing machine, standing 12 feet tall at the shoulders, with jaws that could crush a small car and teeth designed for one purpose only, turning other creatures into bite-sized pieces. But here's the thing about Allosaurus that might save your life. And this is the most important thing you'll ever learn about prehistoric predators. Unlike the specialized fish eater or the pack-hunting raptors, Allosaurus was an opportunistic hunter. It preferred scavenging over active hunting, taking easy meals over difficult ones, conserving energy whenever possible. The massive head swings toward you, nostrils flaring as it tests your scent. Those eyes, intelligent but in a different way than the raptor's, more like a crocodile's calculating patience than a bird's quick cunning, study you with the focused attention of a creature deciding whether you're worth the calories it would take to catch you. Your mind races through everything you know about large predator behavior. Don't run. That triggers the chase instinct. Don't make sudden movements. Don't turn your back. Most importantly, don't act like prey. The Allosaurus takes a step closer, its massive foot leaving a print in the soft earth that could serve as a small swimming pool. Another step. You can feel the heat radiating from its body, can smell the prehistoric equivalent of dog breath mixed with the metallic scent of old blood. But then something extraordinary happens. Something that demonstrates the complex intelligence of these ancient hunters. The Allosaurus stops, head raised, testing the air again. It's caught the scent of the fish-eating Baryonyx by the stream, detected the territorial markers left by the raptor pack, and its predator brain is calculating the risks and benefits of hunting in an area already claimed by other dangerous creatures. You hold absolutely still, barely breathing, as tons of prehistoric predator contemplate whether you're worth a potential territorial dispute with other hunters. The calculation takes what feels like hours, but is probably only seconds. With a sound somewhere between a grunt and a growl, the Allosaurus turns away, disappearing back into the forest with surprising grace for something so massive. It has bigger fish to fry, literally, in the case of competing with Baryonyx for fishing rights. You've now survived encounters with 3 of the most dangerous predators in Earth's history. But here's the question that's been building throughout your entire prehistoric adventure. Which one would have actually eaten you first? The answer might surprise you because it's not about size or strength or even intelligence. It's about opportunity, energy efficiency, and risk assessment. The same calculations that drive predator behavior in every ecosystem, from the African savanna to the Amazon rainforest to the deepest ocean trenches. Baryonyx, despite its impressive size and devastating claws, would likely ignore you completely. As a fish specialist, you simply don't register as food in its hunting algorithm. You're like trying to offer a vegetarian a hamburger. Wrong category entirely. Allosaurus, the largest and most powerful predator you encountered, would probably also pass you by. As an opportunistic hunter that preferred easy meals and carrion to active hunting, you represent too much work for too little reward. It would rather steal a kill from smaller predators or find something already injured than waste energy chasing a healthy, alert human. But those Velociraptors? They're the ones you should really worry about. Pack hunters with intelligence, coordination, and a hunting strategy based on teamwork and persistence. To them, you're not too small or too much trouble. You're a perfectly reasonable target for their proven hunting system. The irony is almost funny, if you weren't potentially about to become prehistoric lunch. The smallest predators are often the most dangerous, because they've evolved to punch above their weight class through cooperation and intelligence. But don't worry. This story has a happy ending, because just as you're contemplating the complex mathematics of prehistoric predation, the sky above the forest begins to flicker with familiar colors. The same aurora-like lights that brought you here are dancing through the canopy, and you can feel that strange electric tingle in the air that means the portal is opening again. Thunder rolls across the ancient sky, not the thunder of your modern world, but something deeper, more primal, charged with temporal energy. The very air seems to vibrate with possibility as reality prepares to fold back on itself. You run toward the growing light, branches whipping at your face, prehistoric ferns tangling around your ankles. Behind you, you can hear the curious vocalizations of raptors who can't quite figure out why their potential prey is running toward a patch of empty air that's glowing like captured starlight. The portal grows brighter, more solid, more real with each step. You can see through it now. Glimpses of familiar Washington forest, rain-soaked and beautifully, wonderfully mundane. No massive predators, no creatures with teeth like railroad spikes. Just ordinary trees and ordinary animals, and the gloriously boring safety of the 21st century. You dive through the portal just as it begins to collapse, tumbling back into your own time, with prehistoric soil still clinging to your boots, and the impossible memory of having looked apex predators in the eye and lived to tell about it. As you lie on the familiar forest floor, Catching your breath and wondering if anyone will ever believe your story, you realize something profound has changed. You'll never look at modern wildlife the same way again, never take for granted the relative safety of a world where the most dangerous predator you're likely to encounter is a black bear or a mountain lion. But more than that, you've learned something about the nature of predation itself, that it's not about mindless aggression or movie monster violence, but about calculation, intelligence, and the eternal mathematics of survival. So here's my question for you. If you found yourself in that prehistoric forest, do you think you'd have the knowledge and courage to face down creatures that ruled the earth for millions of years? Could you read their body language, understand their hunting strategies, and use that knowledge to survive? Comment below and let me know. Would you have made it out alive? Or would those clever raptors have added you to their dinner menu? And speaking of prehistoric predators, you absolutely have to see what happens when we bring a megaraptor into the modern world. Picture this. A creature even larger and more intelligent than the velociraptors you just barely escaped from, loose in downtown Chicago. The chaos, the military response, the impossible choice between capturing and destroying one of the most magnificent predators in Earth's history. Click here to watch What If Megaraptor Invaded Modern Chicago? And prepare to have your mind blown by the ultimate prehistoric versus modern world showdown.